we need to talk about this man. This man right here. I don't even... I knew it was coming when Shin had looked at Shishiba and was like, oh, that's interesting. But then for Shishiba to then stand on business and to attack Azuki head on, and he's trying to take him out before the Takamura personality comes out, it's just... And he stood on business the whole time, even with Oki and Torres attacking him at the same time. He still stood on business. He didn't even back down. Just kept it P. And of course he told Osaragi, and Osaragi, who I thought was going to turn on him and actually just be like an object of just an assassin for assassin's sake. Because I was going to be like, that's rough. But when she came in through that window, it's that... That's the peak pose, because that's camaraderie. That's camaraderie that you can't even like replicate, because if you think about it, it's just, man. But there are some interesting points, and I said this in the last video for Sakamoto Days. I had said that the scales are tipped, because you have Order members, and you have Slur's members, and you have Team Sakamoto's members. So we don't have enough order level members on Sakamoto's side. We got Shin, we got Sakamoto. And if you want to count Nagamo, we got Nagamo. I don't know if he counts as Team Sakamoto, but we'll just say he counts. You have those three. Well, I guess now we have Kandaka, Yatsumura. So we got five. But on the other hand, we got Azuki, Oki, Torres, the guitar player, Kashima, Kanaguri. There's someone else I'm missing. There's one more person that we're missing from Slur's group that hasn't been introduced yet. And then there's another person, I think. I think there's 8 people. But I say that to say, like, again, it's 8 versus 5. And, like, order member to order member. I don't think anybody's 2v1ing anybody, in my opinion. Like, even Shishiba, when he was fighting Haruma and Kashima at the same time, I don't even think he was going to win that one. It was getting a little rough. I don't think he's going to come out on top. But his defense, and the way he maneuvers, that's up there. He seems to be handling, like, getting jumped really well. Because Oki and Torres definitely were putting pressure on him. And then he tried to box Azuki, too. And Azuki was definitely paying attention. And now that Osaragi's in to level the playing field, so now it's Shishiba and Osaragi versus Torres, Azuki, and Oki temporarily. Because I think, if I recall correctly... Ooh, I'm about to yawn. Ooh. Good lord. If I recall correctly, the Takamura personality feeds off of bloodlust. The fact that the Takamura personality feeds off of bloodlust is a bad matchup, because Osaragi is literally just roaming the streets, cutting people up. So now we got to think about how is that going to work, because respectfully, even if Shishiba's like a close third, and so he's like slightly weaker than Nagamo, he's still getting clapped by Takamura. Even if Shishiba and Osaragi team up, I'm pretty sure they're still getting clapped by Takamura. Now, due to the lateness of when I released this video, and when I recorded it, once I read the new chapter that just came out, the video's coming out right after this. So if you see the same shirt, that's why. But essentially, I enjoy that Shishiba is actually turning his back on the order, and in the character that Shishiba presents in the series this far, being someone who's an assassin with a heavy heart, it became too much. Losing people like Hio, or even Yatsumura and knowing his son, and all that being too heavy for Shishiba, it makes sense. It goes back to what Nagamo said, that like as soon as you start to care about people, or you have a good heart, or you have such positive qualities is when you start to literally lose your skill. Hio had a good heart. Immediately boxed out. Sakamoto has been living a pretty good life. Immediately is snatched out of top 5. Had to build himself back up. Shishiba is probably the same way. Where the closer you get to being more human is the term I would use. To being more human, the closer you are getting to being kind of weaker in a sense. But it's interesting because I wonder if there's parallels to it. If Torres spoke on Sakamoto's movement when he was at the house, of how there's no wasted movement, and he's like really fast, and he's like, why doesn't he fight like this? I wonder if that's the duality that Sakamoto can show, is his ability to be that family man, and the amount of skill and technique it takes for him to maneuver in that environment versus him as an assassin. I wonder if he's going to bridge that gap. Because typically, in my experience, I'm really hoping that these are not death flags for Shishiba and Osaragi. But in my head, like, they can't escape. They have nowhere to go. So, I'm really hoping it's not the end for Shishiba and Osaragi. I'm really hoping. But that's all we can do is hope. But as I was saying, it's really important this far in the series that being a good person or having a heavy heart makes you not cut out for that industry. We've seen it with Hio. We've seen it with Sakamoto. We've seen it with Akira, ironically, in a sense. We've seen it now with Shishiba. We've seen it with Yatsumura. There's so many people who have chosen to have positive moments or resolution or rehashing old memories or just thinking about older stuff that have weakened them to such an extent. Even Nagamo, I think, sometimes in certain settings, if I recall correctly, he gets weakened for the same thing because of Rion in Uzuki's body, the personality. So it's like, to be an assassin, to be up there, you gotta be the embodiment of, like, no emotions. Just cut it all off. But it goes to show that Shishiba and all the Order characters are a lot more complex in a sense. Like, Shishiba is just doing a job. But now that job is getting too heavy because of what the toll it takes on him, what he's had to do. And so, the fact that Shishiba in that chapter tells Osaragi, like, this world is made for you, like, you don't have to switch sides. Like, you can do what you're going to do because this was made for you. And the fact that Osaragi was just like, cool, whatever. But then later on, she comes back and she's like, you know what? If there's a world where people don't like you, that's not a world for me. And so she's stepping immediately. And I think that's how it should be. It should be Shishiba and Osaragi versus the rest of them. I really do believe that that's how it should be. But I'm really hoping that this is not their final stand. I'm hoping that Shishiba and Osaragi get their moments in, blah, blah, blah. They get to escape, and they get to leave, and they get to, run it back. But I have a fear, oh my gosh, I have a fear that once Shishiba and Osaragi are in the field and the bloodlust wakes up the Takamura personality, I have this gut feeling that he's going to stand on business. Immediately start dicing and cutting up. And what sucks is because Osaragi is, like, in my opinion, Osaragi is kind of bloodlusted all the time, in a sense. And so, I feel like that's going to be the first person he gonna cut. That's going to be the first person he gonna cut. But who knows? I'm going to read the new chapter shortly after this video is done. So, you're going to get the back-to-back. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. You'll see when it happens. Y'all be easy. Peace.